Hey, what's good everyone? Chef Eric Hammond here. Today we're going to learn how to make spaghetti alla Bolognese. So basically spaghetti with a meat ragu. Bolognese is from obviously Bologna. There's many ways to make this sauce. The more traditional way is to make it with offal, which is like organ meats, beef and kidneys and livers and stuff like that, but we're just going to use ground beef and ground pork. So let's prepare our mise en place. Ground beef 80-20, which is 80% lean, 20% fat. You want ground pork, full fat, from the shoulder or the butt. Carrot, celery, onions, chopped rosemary, chopped garlic, tomato puree, a good quality olive oil. I'm using Chianti wine and milk. Milk is a good way to richen up the sauce without adding like chicken livers or offal, any kind of organ meats. Also, you're going to need the best kind of store-bought spaghetti that you can get. Doesn't have to be spaghetti. You could use linguine for it. You could use tagliatelle for it or a pappardelle, but I love spaghetti. So I'm using La Molasana brand, which is bronze die cut, imported from Italy. This is the type of brand I will use at the restaurant. So let's start by adding our extra virgin olive oil, excuse me. It needs to be extra virgin. And you could see it to start, a generous amount, be very generous. And when it starts to shimmer, then you're going to be able to add your proteins to the pot. So you can see it's starting to get a little warm now. I'm going to turn this heat up a little bit so it'll start getting hotter. And to this we're going to add our ground beef. Use your hands, don't be afraid. You can hear it sizzling already. Add our ground pork. Season with salt and pepper, generous amounts. Like I said to you in previous videos, season every step of the way. That is how you build flavors. And with a potato masher like this, or a whisk, you just want to start breaking up this meat. There's going to be a lot of juice, or rather grease, coming out of this. So once this is all done, rather than just putting the vegetables in directly, we're going to strain this and cook our vegetables in this same pot with all the flavor, but without all the grease. Now you want to keep on crushing this with the potato masher or your whisk until there's no real big clumps anymore. You want this to be fine grind, or at least a very medium fine grind. You don't want it to be like meatballs. As you can see inside the Dutch oven here, a lot of this grease. Now once the meat is browned, we're going to strain this and drain all the fat off of it, because it's really not going to be very pleasant to eat with all this grease. Once you've reached sort of a brownish color, it's time to strain the meat. So we're going to take it off the pot, or off the stove rather, and we're going to just put all the meat into a colander and let the grease and fat drip into a bowl. So there's still a lot of fat on the bottom of this pan, but it's not enough for our vegetables. So we're going to turn our burner back on, the highest setting. We're going to add a little bit more extra virgin oil, just a touch, because there is fat in this pan already. Let that get hot. A little bit more. Then we're going to add our garlic. And we're going to let that just get a little toasty brown. Once your garlic starts to brown, this is when you want to add your carrots, your celery, and your onions, all small diced. To this, you want to add your aromatics, so your rosemary. Again, season every step of the way. So you're putting in some salt, some fresh cracked pepper, and just mix this around. Now you want color on these. You want to caramelize these, because caramelization of the vegetables is going to add a little sweetness to it, and it's going to just deepen its flavor immensely. Once your vegetables reach this sort of caramelization state, you want to put your meat back in the pot. Very carefully add it to the pot so you don't get any oil splatter. Give it a good mix. You could always use some of the fat that you rendered if it needs a little bit more fat. This does not. Then when it's all nice and mixed, add your wine. So when the wine is reduced about halfway, you want to pour in your milk. This will probably take more milk. So I'm using a full fat milk. I wouldn't suggest using 2% or skim. Full fat is the way to go. Give this a stir. Milk is going to add such a level of creaminess to this. It's going to make it really, really delicious. So you see, your milk has reduced a little bit, and it's all coming together. Now you add your tomato product. Just directly inside. Scrape it all out. You don't want to waste. Waste not, want not. Give this a good stir. So once the tomato is all incorporated, bring it back to the boil and just turn it on low and simmer for about 2 hours. So you want to get it on the simmer burner if you have one. If not, just turn it really, really low and stir constantly. So this is actually going to turn out to be a little bit drier than it looks right now. And it's going to be full of flavor. So the Bolognese is done. We just got to get it hot again. You can see we have a pot of water that's at a rolling boil. You want to season this water heavily with salt. You want it to taste like the sea. Once it's back at the rolling boil after you season it, you want to open your spaghetti, and this is a semi-thick spaghetti. You know, you could use a thicker, this is number 16. You could use a thicker spaghetti, but this will do just fine. And just layer it in there like that. Take a pair of tongs and just start moving it around so it won't stick together. You know, there's a big myth about cooking pasta. Lots of people think you should put oil in the water. That is simply not the case. You don't need to put oil in the water. You're going to waste good extra virgin olive oil by doing so. You just need a heavily salted pot of water that's at a rolling boil. When you put your spaghetti in, you just mix it up a little bit. And then you let it come to the boil. That's all you need to do. So when the pasta's almost done, you want to scoop your bolognese and put it into a separate saute pan. This is a sauteuse technically. You want to start getting that hot again. And before you strain the pasta, you want to take out, I don't know, half a coffee cup full of the pasta water and reserve it in case you need to thin your pasta sauce out. This is liquid gold. When it's all done cooking, you want to take it off the heat and strain it. Don't forget, you reserved some of the pasta water in case you needed it. So now you want to take your pasta, put it right into the sauce. Just give it a good mix with your tongs. You know, you're going to have to add a little bit more sauce, or maybe you added too much sauce. It's just, give it a little shake. This is going to take more sauce. So let me just take it here. I mean, it's a lot of pasta. I cooked a full pound of pasta because there's going to be leftovers tomorrow. And just give it a little twirl. And there you have it. So now, we just take it out of this and we're going to plate it in a bowl. You always want to give it a little bit of a twist. A little sauce on top. And we always want to garnish this with a little bit of Reggiano. So we're just going to grate some Reggiano on top of this. The more the better in my eyes. And there you have it. Spaghetti Bolognese. I hope everybody enjoyed learning how to make spaghetti Bolognese. Sometimes there's nothing better than a nice plate of spaghetti and Bolognese sauce. I hope you make this. I hope you make it for your family and friends and enjoy it. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Chef Eric Hammond and to my Instagram hashtag Chef Eric Hammond. Until the next time, people, have a great night.